Hey, it shows live.
We are now live. Anything you say can and will be used against you by the internet.
No, Mark, that's just you. We get a free pass.
So true. So true. Chris can mangle any series of words without a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I say "and" instead of "the," and boom.
Fun times.
I'm not sure why that is. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I've set myself up as being more authoritative than him. I don't know.
You play the bombastic "I'm smarter than you" role, so of course everybody takes glee in the fact that I know this and you didn't, or you're wrong. So it's your shtick.
Really? Do I play the "I'm smarter than you" role? I do play the teacher role. I get that.
I'm not going to give a definitive yes, but I will say maybe it's so easy to pick somebody else apart that it's not even worth the time. Like, why would I send an email about that? But Mark, I caught him in using the instead of the.
Yeah. So it's a gotcha.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't mind it, but I do question it sometimes. I wonder why I'm the guy.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's a perfect tool that you need to use at your disposal once in a while. That's a great way to check the heartbeat.
Just say something flagrantly really wrong.
Exactly.
And see who responds.
Just to hear the dum 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 dum.
Is anybody still listening? Oh, okay. Start your local recording devices at your convenience.
I am recording locally as of now.
Now. Are we ready? Because I would go turn off my devices.
Yeah, go ahead.
AKA washer and dryer.
It won't bother me if you want to leave them running. But...
No, they're loud as crap. And then when they get near the end,
okay, gotcha.
Hey, Mark, you may or may not have. I may or may not have received the laser pen. I have honestly no way of knowing.
Okay.
So,
is there a giant stack of mail?
No, but sometimes it's just fun at my house. Mom gets mail, and she used to hide stuff on purpose when she was controlling the books and wasn't doing a good job. And now she forgets where she put stuff, and Dad is starting to forget, or he'll set something down and forget he got it. So it could be somewhere around the house, or it could have been lost in the mail. It could be there when I get home tonight. It could be sitting at my spot saying, "This came in the mail for you today." So
they now know you're looking for it.
Yeah.
So, Dor, you may need to be my litmus test. I may need you to send me your address so that I can send you a pen to see if it gets there.
Okay.
Because Seth was supposed to be my first test, and we don't know. It could be lost in the mail. It could be lost in his house. There's an unknown. We don't know what we don't know.
We just know we don't know it.
So this is recorded for posterity, so I'll be gentle. But I called your house. I thought I was calling your cell phone, Seth. And apparently I called your house, and your dad answered. I said, "Hey, Seth," and he said, "Hey." So he either didn't know that I said Seth, or he just, thought I said Jack. But we went on. We had a conversation. It lasted a couple of minutes. Nothing serious, in which he was you, and just playing along with everything I said as if he knew what I was talking about.
Wow.
And I couldn't figure out when I hung up if he was trolling me, or if he thought I was, somebody talking to him, and he just didn't remember the context of the conversation, and he didn't want to. I couldn't quite figure out what it was, because it's in his nature to do either of those things.
He didn't tell me anything about it, so he probably thought it was him.
But yeah, it was funny. It was the day I sent you the pen. I called you to tell you that I sent you a pen. Say, hey, look for it in the mail. So maybe he got a pen and thought it was for him.
Oh, well, that would be I will have to look around and see about that. So, or who knows? I honestly don't.
Because I realized, like 8 or 9 sentences in, it took a while for me to figure out it was him and not you. But then I just kind of went with it to see where it was going to go. And so did he. It was great.
Wow, fun time. Yeah, it's my house is an adventure.
It was actually brightened my day. It was funny. Made me laugh. Okay, let's do a podcast, shall we?
We'll give it a whirl.
Oh wait, I didn't do the check
turn
the
off
live
and back
stream
on thing.
No, I did that already. I just got to check
Okay.
the live stream and make sure that we're actually broadcast reading. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Broadcast reading? Okay.
I was not going to touch it.
Okay. So it sounds good.
Yeah, not too bad of a delay.
So I'm going to mute that now. On the fly. I got no better title, so I'm going with that one.
Okay.
Maybe I should change the title to I got no better title.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't come up with anything obviously either. So.
I think I already did one called Insert Title Here, so I can't do that one again. 223 shows in. It's
Well, maybe
hard.
you could do like the match game. Blankety blank blank.
The Mad Libs, insert adjective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister-in-law got mad when she was playing Cards Against Humanity, and I said, "Oh, so you're playing the match game 2016?" And she didn't have no idea. Of course, she had no idea what I was talking about.
Of course she did. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello, everyone, and welcome to GeekRant, episode 223, On the Fly, recorded January 17th, 2016, and brought to you by Element Opie Productions, elementopie.com. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show where we geek and we rant and we let our geek flag fly. I am your host, Mark, the Sultan of the Soapbox Cockerel, and joining me this week, as always, is your good friend and mine, Seth, the Gooey Kid Anderson. Hey, Seth, how are you?
Pretty good, Mark, and welcome to all of the Element Opie-ites. Glad you're here.
And we also have a special last-minute fill-in guest, your friend and mine. Everybody listening to this podcast should know him because we have a significant crossover audience. But the door-to-door geek, Mr. Steve McLaughlin, has stepped in last minute to fill in for our missing command line godfather. Hey, Door.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I was tempted to just send in like 55 different voicemails, and then you can pick and
just
choose.
Call it good.
Yeah, and then just pick and choose which ones to play when, and make it work.
That would be interesting. It'd be, what do you think about that, Door? And then just hit random Door voicemail number 1.
Yeah.
And see what it is. That could be fascinating sometimes.
It could be. But I'll also say, you never astound me, Mark. You are the only podcaster I know who has in stone a show name before the show even starts. That's dedication.
Yeah, sure. I have a title, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I make them up on the fly. Hey, see what I did there? So yeah, a lot of shows. In fact, on our periodic table show, we would take something from the show and go back later and record the intro, and that turned out to be a lot of effort. So I stopped doing it.
Well, so are you going to go back and add 4 new episodes to that show? Just wondering.
I would like to at some point.
Well, because there's 4 new elements added, so
that would be great.
I'm sorry maybe that was too nerdy.
I should have done something. I really should have caught that, and I'm feeling bad now that I missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I still see weird news stories, and I read the story and I go, this has to be from Florida.
Exactly.
Just off the headline, and I go, it is from Florida. Oh my gosh! So there's something crazy about that state.
The Vlog Brothers did a whole you know those guys, the Green Brothers, the Vlog Brothers.
Yeah.
They did a whole thing about Florida. Why does all the weird news come out of Florida?
Well,
and
it made sense.
Yes.
And it made absolute sense, but it still doesn't change the fact that I'm mildly afraid to go to Florida.
Yeah, Florida people be weird. It's that interesting juxtaposition of southern rednecks and northern snowbirds, and the Disney environment and the meth head environments. They all swirl around right there. It's fascinating and somewhat frightening.
Right, and then the freedom disclosure of any crime immediate act they have down
Right,
there.
so I need some advice from some of your more hardware experienced people out there. So I managed to pour an entire quart of water, a 32-ounce tumbler of water, on my laptop.
Golf
Um,
clap.
Not just my laptop, actually. My laptop, my Harmony remote, 3 chargers, just all over that table that all of us geeks have that have all the stuff on it. Yeah, I spilled it on that table. And actually, it spilled down onto a second laptop and onto a tablet. But I managed to get everything shut down and dried off for the most part. Now, in fact, I'm actually using that laptop right now. But on the number pad, it's one of those laptops with a separate 10 key. The 2 doesn't work. Of all the things that could have gone wrong with it, that's the only problem. The 2 no longer works. Anybody have any ideas how I can fix a 2 that was probably damaged by water?
Yeah. Buy a new laptop.
Yeah.
Or buy a new keyboard.
That's I would like, actually, I was mildly disappointed that more damage wasn't done, because this laptop's a couple of years old and there's nothing wrong with it. I just want a new one. And that was a good opportunity, and it didn't work in my favor.
Oh, so this is one of those air quote accidentally spilling water. I see now. At first I was concerned, but now I am amused.
No, it was a spewing invectives and saying words I didn't want my children to hear spilling water is what it was.
Bummer. Dude, so just the 2. Here's a weird thing. If you take the number lock off, does the down arrow work? I would just be curious.
That's a good question. Let's see. Number lock off, down arrow, no nothing.
Okay.
You have any friends in Florida by any chance?
I do. I have one.
Maybe you could send them the laptop and let them borrow it for a day or 2.
I'm not sure what that would accomplish, but
could end up in a crocodile. Could end up, balancing off the top of a McDonald's archway.
Actually, I once sent a laptop to Steve Cherubino to repair, because he's the laptop repair god. He doesn't do that anymore, but back when he was, and I intentionally insured it for more than it was worth and packed it poorly, hoping that it would get damaged in shipping. And dang it, the USPS got it there in one piece.
Oh, I know that because he vented on me for half an hour about he could not believe how poorly it was packed.
Yes. And he went and bought a special designed box and I was just kind of hoping it would come back broken, but no, he got a box and packed it really well and sent it back to me. But I was just hoping that I could get the USPS to buy me a new laptop, and it didn't work out.
Well, bummer.
Darn it, they're good at their job.
Yeah, I guess if your one job is shipping stuff, you were probably decent at shipping stuff.
Yeah, unless it's a pen, and then you never know.
Yeah, we don't know. They could have very well have shipped it smartly, and it could be somewhere around my house as we speak.
I don't know why. I'm sorry. I promised you a tighter show, and then I'm rambling way more than normal. But for some reason, I noticed here in Atlanta, it takes so much longer for mail to move. Probably because of the traffic here. I'm sure that's related. But in Texas, you could send something from anywhere in Texas to anywhere else in Texas in 2 days. And Texas is the size of about 4 other states. Georgia is a smaller state, and the population is smaller still. Most, like 80%, not that much. 70% of the population of the state is in the Atlanta metro area. So you'd think you'd be able to get anything anywhere, but no, it takes like 6 days to get something from one part of Georgia to another. I don't know why that is.
Easy answer. Drones.
So the drones can fly out in West Texas and they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Well, no, you need drones there because there's all that open space up there you could freely be using, but no, you're clogging up the highways and byways and freeways.
Yeah. So Seth, you haven't yet? The month is not over, but when's your first of 12 5Ks?
It is scheduled for the 30th. Because I wanted to give myself the whole month to, and I'm not expecting much from this one. I'm, cross the finish line, having run a good portion of it, but, I'll get my time and stuff and see how I'm going. But, I've been working. I do my walk-in like at least 5 days a week, and 3 of those, I call it lumbering now. So I lumber around, and I up the number of lumbering laps every time I do that. So getting there, and I haven't given up yet. So yay me.
I told you early at the first show of the year that I would let you know if I was gonna to embark on that with you, and I still haven't decided. I'm physically pretty messed up in terms of some bad joints and just being really fat, and I don't know that I can actually make 5K even walking. So I want to spiritually, I want to do it, but the flesh is weak.
Well, yeah, and I went like Friday. I went and our office building has a little workout slash gym area, so I went in there and weighed myself, and I was so depressed. I was like 385, which granted I had my work clothes on instead of gym clothes, but I thought, man, I thought I had been losing a little bit of this weight back again, so I must have got back up to a lot heavier to have lost a little. So I was kind of depressed whenever I saw how much I weighed. But I went home and ran anyway, so yay.
Yeah, good on you. That's what you're supposed to do. So I don't have any listener feedback this week because all the feedback is still about the Facebook thing. And I said I was going to put all that together. So nobody sent me anything about anything other than that. So no mini rants is what we've decided to call them on this show. Yeah, I rant and Seth rants for the whole hour, and you guys get little mini rants. But nothing this week. So let's jump straight into the news, where Comcast proves that they still suck.
Yeah, this story, everybody who knows, okay, any ISP thing, they want you to rent their router so they can get that monthly charge. And so what do you do to save money? You go out to Wally World or elementop.com/Amazon and you get a router to go and get rid of that charge. Well, what Comcast has decided is they want to send you a steady stream of pop-ups that they inject into the website, so they're almost next to impossible to filter out, saying, hey, we just wanted to let you know you're not using our router, and since you're not using our router, we wanted to let you know that. And so they pop it up, and anyway, like I say, they just do a great job of pissing off customers. If there's one thing they excel at, it's that. And so, yay, Comcast.
So I'm not really. They must be rerouting the DNS in order to do that, because they still control the other side of the router. So I guess they could do that.
Well, yeah, but they will do a pop-up that says, our records indicate that the cable modem which you currently use may not be able to receive the full range of our speeds because we throttle them, but they didn't. They left that part out. So to ensure you're receiving full benefits, please replace your cable modem. And they want you to use theirs because that way they can get some more money off of you.
This can't be happening already, can it?
Yeah, apparently it is because there's screenshots of it happening. So
the update at the bottom of the article says any DOCSIS 3.0 modem will stop them from doing it. Okay, I totally understand why they want their customers to have a DOCSIS 3.0, which is not a new standard at all. But if you're complaining about poor speeds and you have a crappy old router, then they get the blame for it. So on that side, I can see their point here. But it is completely unconscionable to rewrite web pages like that. It should be illegal, frankly. But there's just no reason at all for them to be able to do that.
That's what I think. And and again, it's quote unquote their web, so they can do what they want to do. But I just think this is a time where they have to know what they're doing. And they have to not care, and that's why they're doing it. I can't imagine that this is somebody who says, hey, this would be a great thing to do, and not realizing that this is just going to tick people off. But, this is the same conversation we end up having all the time. They have an effective monopoly over their customers, so you don't have anywhere else to go but your cable people. Maybe they get DSL, maybe, but, if you don't bundle, then they charge you more for your cable. And so, like I say, they have an effective, if not outright, monopoly over those people, so they can do whatever they want to them. And this is just proof that they don't care about their customers. But, I guess I really don't care about cattle. I just, want them for what they give me. So maybe that explains it.
I just, I'm puzzled and confused by how it's legal for them to perform a man-in-the-middle attack. That's exactly what this is.
Well, if it's non-SSL traffic, which I guarantee you they cannot do this to SSL traffic, it's deep packet inspection, which other countries have gotten in trouble for doing this kind of thing before. And I know one or two companies here thought about taking other people's ads and and replacing them with their ads and got in trouble for it. So I can't believe they wouldn't get in trouble for it. But I'll also say I heard maybe the most accurate description of how to make Comcast a functionally useful company. And that is, you take the war of drugs and you legalize all drugs, but you make Comcast support be the salesman of those drugs. So that nobody would ever get drugs. Again.
I like that.
I'm not even sure how to respond to that. So I'm just going to move right on to Seth. I love the what he put. Intel demonstrates that math is hard for computers. Facebook demonstrated that math is hard for people when everybody thought they would get $4.3 million if they split the jackpot.
You know, first that one had to be like some of the original ones. People knew it was a joke. Hopefully, people weren't that stupid. But yeah, so you know, this ties in with another story that we'll cover here in a second. But Intel's newest processor, Skylake, they have these programs where they are able to hunt for really huge prime numbers, and apparently, this program locks up computers, and so it, you know, we talked. It was many. What was it, 10, 15 years ago, with the flaw in the Pentium?
The floating point, yes.
So it appears to have came back with a vengeance. There's an update saying that it might be a BIOS update that fixes this, but yeah. So Intel makes great chips, and occasionally those chips can perform math at a pretty good level. But Prime 95 is the program. It works by multiplying large numbers together, and it uses an algorithm. User after user was consistently able to show that it locks up the processor. So hopefully there's a fix, and hopefully it is a BIOS issue and not where they're turning off some functionality of the chip. I don't really know what they're doing, but I just thought it was, you know, everything is moving forward, but sometimes in the race to move forward, you forget to do the simple things to make sure going forward is worthwhile.
So you might wonder why this is a big deal, that a computer can't do complex fast Fourier transforms on large prime numbers. How is that going to affect you in your daily life? Let me tell you how. Because everything we do security-wise is based entirely upon fast Fourier transforms of large prime numbers. The SSL, which George already mentioned, all the encryption is all about the fact that it's mathematically complicated to factor large prime numbers. And so as we get, you know, more deep into the world of obfuscation and encryption, we're going to need to be able to do larger and larger numbers more and more quickly. So this is a bigger deal than it sounds like if it's an architecture flaw, because that could mean that then Intel literally can't move to the future with this architecture.
Yeah, it's mathematically hard, but it's also time-consuming on processors to figure out those large prime numbers. I have not heard Prime 95, I swear, for a decade, and the last time I thought I heard it, it was for benchmarking, for like pushing your processor to the limit to see if it would blow up, lock up, freeze up.
Well, turns out it does if you're using one of these. So it's just an interesting conundrum that the thing that the security world most depends on is the thing that breaks Intel's computers.
Well, and not to sound dumb, I'm kind of happy it's hard to do these large prime numbers, because the easier it becomes, that means the quicker it will be for someone like the NSA to look at those stockpiles of data and decrypt it. Just saying.
Yeah, what was it? I can't remember. I think it was on Security Now several years ago that there was a guy, I think in Brazil, had an encrypted hard drive, sent it to the NSA to see if they could crack it, and the NSA spent a couple years pounding on it and said, nope, no good, sorry.
Yeah, he had like 6 or 8 hard drives where the NSA had large clusters built from cell processors, aka PlayStation 3s, where they thought, we got this, and after like 2.5, 3 years, they finally just pushed the hard drives back and said, we can't get into these.
At least that's what they said. They may or may not have been telling the truth on that. So
yeah, they actually cracked it and have been using the data because it was useful. I don't know. Next up, Microsoft says new processors will only work with Windows 10. Well, that's interesting. Seth,
Yeah,
you go ahead.
these Skylake platform that they're moving
The
to.
one that we just talked about that can't do
Yeah.
prime numbers.
Yes. When Microsoft is not going to basically update the kernels for 7 or 8 or 8.1 to run on these, so even though technically these products will be supported for years moving forward, Microsoft isn't going to support them on newer hardware. So it's a loophole that they're adding in for to limit legacy code, I guess. I just thought this was an interesting story because Windows 7 is going to be supported through 2020 and 8.1 through 2023, but yet they won't be supported on basically anything newer than what we have today. So in 5 years, if you want to be running 7 or 8.1, you're not going to be able to. You're just going to have to move on to the next version of Windows whenever you buy your new computer.
Dor, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm not shocked at all, number one, but I'm shocked it won't run at all. I figured in typical Microsoft way, they would put a kernel in there, but it would really suck and move really slow, like Windows XP with 256 mega RAM kind of slow. This is just another way that I believe Microsoft learned so bad. I mean, if you look at their back, it's covered in scars and holes and pits and burn marks from what happened with XP with no one upgrading. So they're doing everything in their power to force everyone as quick as possible to get on this heavily controlled and maintained wagon we call Windows 10.
I'm going to maybe surprise some people and say I have absolutely no problem with this. Windows NT, when they moved to that, they left the DEC Alpha processor behind, and people moaned about it. And they left the Sun workstation and the Spark 10 because Microsoft used to run on anything. That was their thing, Windows on everything. And then they began to focus entirely on the x86 architecture, and then it was x86 plus the 64 bits. It doesn't bother me that they want to move ahead on what is the newest thing. What will bother me, though, is if the AMD processors, for example, also aren't included in the list. It won't bother me if they leave the legacy behind, but if they lock into only Intel's Skylake platform, that's going to bother me. In fact, I think that's a ridiculously dumb thing to do. But that doesn't mean that they won't do it. Microsoft has been doing ridiculously dumb things for decades and getting away with it. I think this is less a way to get out of your support contract and more a way to make sure that we're moving forward in a sensible manner.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, and I totally get that. The only problem is they say they support it through 2023. Or
and they
2020.
do. But they don't say that every new processor through 2023 gets updated.
Well, I mean, but then you're not providing support for your OS. You're not changing the terms, but you're changing the definition of the terms. So
I see support and I read security updates, not feature updates. That's not support. And a new processor is a feature, not a fix.
Oh, well, I don't know. I just think it's, I understand the fact that you can't go back and support a 286 machine, on Windows 10 or whatever. I understand. But here it is. We've got another 5, 6, 7 years left on support, and you're saying that you're not saying it won't work. You're just not going to support it on any new hardware that comes out for the next 6 or 7 years. This operating system that you can still buy and it's still valid and it's still supported by Microsoft.
Can you still buy 8.1?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you can buy 10 and downgrade. I don't think you can actually buy an 8.1 license.
Well, 8.1, I think is one that is. Well, 8 is dead.
Yeah, 8's
completely dead. You can still get 7 because I just sent a link to a guy 2 days ago because he wanted to buy 7, and I think you can still buy 8.1.
Okay, because the way they did the 7 to XP was you couldn't buy an XP license anymore. You could buy a 7 license, which came with an inherent downgrade.
Right.
I would think that's probably what they're doing. When you're buying 8, you're not actually buying 8. You're buying 10 with a downgrade. You can buy the media for 10, but not the license. The license or the media for 8, but the license is for 10. It's what I think.
Gotcha.
I could actually have done some research before the show, but
Well,
no.
And I'll throw in. I partially, and by partially I mean a large degree, could really care less about this news because I'm a Linux household. Now, for businesses where I work and kind of thing, this might cause an issue, but we're by our definition of what we do, we are constantly behind at work, so we're always in pain and
Right.
suffering and trying to get forward.
Yeah, my business, large corporate entity just moved to 7 just recently, and so I get where you're coming from. It's going to be a big deal, but we're also running on old hardware. We're not running the latest and greatest hardware. I had to have a couple of levels above me decision making why it approved me for a 64-bit workstation because the spreadsheets I do were too big to fit in 4 gigs of RAM. So I had to do that, but it took like an act of Congress to make that happen. So all corporate entities are behind, but they're behind in both software and hardware. So I don't think it's going to be a big hitch.
Well, yeah, and the only thing that really questions me about work is, does Skylake have 32? Can you install a 32-bit version of Windows on Skylake? Because they wanted to kill 32-bit a while back, they couldn't. You can literally now still upgrade Windows 7 32-bit all the way up to Windows 10 32-bit. At my job, we're having a very difficult time shifting to 64-bit. So if there's no such thing as a 32-bit Skylake processor, then I can tell you for certain places this will be an extremely painful move.
I just want to break here. A listener sent me a link to an XKCD cartoon. I love XKCD. Panel left, it's a crypto nerd's imagination. One guy says, his laptop's encrypted. Let's build a multi-million-dollar cluster to crack it. No good. It's 4096-bit RSA. Blast! Evil plan is foiled. What would actually happen? His laptop's encrypted. Drug him and hit him with a $5 wrench until he tells us the password. Got it. All right, moving on. In a case of Apple favoring one child over another, their iTunes Radio is going to cost you money, but Beats One will not.
Yeah, Beats One. Basically, they're just trying to figure out another way to get another income stream coming in, and they figure if we start charging for iTunes Radio, which really isn't that old. It started in like 13 or 14, but as of January 28th, all radio stations except for Beats One will be available exclusively to Apple Music members. So those radio stations you create or that you want to listen to or things like that are not going to be there anymore unless you pay them $10 a month. So probably a lot of people will do that because they forget there's something called FM that plays music. Yeah, so it was just another cash grab by a multi-billion-dollar company out to wring whatever penny they can from their cattle/customers.
Seth, think about the children. Apple needs to feed their children, for God's sake.
They're only sitting on a more cash than most countries outside of China. Let them spend some of that money to feed their kids.
What's interesting is I don't agree with you on this one. I suddenly I'm taking the side of big companies tonight. What has gotten into me? What's in this water I've been drinking? I think this is just a way for Apple to trim redundant services and go with the one that has the biggest audience. Beats One, they bought Beats, and they bought it because of the audience. And so their iTunes Radio, their version of Pandora essentially, is just an also-ran alongside Pandora and Spotify. So I think they're just killing the one without killing it. If you like it, you can give us money for it. But I think they want to move people into Beats One so that they could go to people and say, we have X million people listening to this every day. That's why you should release your stuff on Beats One.
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things. any other company doing this would probably catch flack, but because it's Apple, there's still too much of that, fanboy juice out there. The promise of the internet is like freedom and free choice and free expression, and it's getting whittled down more and more, the things you can do for free. I understand you need to pay, but you paid more for that iPhone than you did your last computer. You pay a ridiculous amount every month to access it, with whatever phone plan you have, and now here's just another charge for what you're already doing. We're going to charge you an extra $120 a year. And you're not going to get anything new. So thank you.
Maybe it's nothing more than if you want something this convenient, pay money. Because I know if I want to, I can look out on the interwebs and I can find quote unquote free music services. And maybe it's just because they have your eyeballs locked in and we can install this on your iPhone without you looking. Nudge, nudge. Why don't you use this music service thing? Like how people in Germany are mad at Google because in the search results YouTube returns. They're like favoring their own system. I don't know.
It ties in with the fact that Apple is getting out of the mobile advertising business because they suck at it apparently. So because they're not advertising, you listen to the radio for free, you hear ads. Okay, you listen to these music channels for free, you hear ads every so often. Well, Apple is killing that, and so now they're going to charge you up front, and I don't know, I don't like it. I just think it's stupid. But then again, I don't listen to Pandora or Spotify. I don't like those services. I tried Pandora, I tried it. I don't care about it. So I don't know. I just wanted to, I haven't bashed Apple in a while. I wanted to try to bash them a little bit as we start the new year and the new show. I want to go back to those roots of what made us great. So,
in one of the most circular weirdnesses that the things that only the internet connected world can create, my wife's go-to music app on her phone is a radio app that streams the radio station from here in Atlanta over the internet, rather than going to the radio. And it's what's even worse is she will have the app playing over the Bluetooth in the car through the radio.
Nice.
And it's not her fault, right? There's nothing wrong. If fault's not even the right word, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a weirdness of the way the world works now, that people go first to their phone for music and not to the radio. And in fact, you'll use the radio as a way to amplify the phone, when what you're actually doing on the phone was broadcast over the radio waves in the first place. It's we're in this weird thing where people still want their background music, and that's what Pandora is for most of us. It's not, hey, I want to jam. It's, I need something in the background so that my ears don't have to listen to silence and I'm not left alone with my own thoughts. So Pandora is a way to not have to think. And so is Spotify and all these other things. That's what the radio used to be. The people would have a radio in the corner. Go back a long time ago, the radio was the center of the living room, right, before the television, and then it was relegated to the corner of the shop out back where the guys are working on cars. There's a radio in the corner. Well, now that music is going to come in over Pandora or Spotify instead, but nobody really cares enough about it. So I think that people aren't going to pay for this service. Pandora found that out. Not many people pay for it. And so that nobody cares enough about it to actually pay for it. So I think Apple, by charging you for it, is actually trying to kill it.
Huh.
I would not disagree with that, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, yeah. So...
That's why they call him the best color man of the business, folks. Oh, that's going to be my new ringtone. Those last 30 seconds there, that was great.
I aim to please, or please to aim, or
so
something like
as
that.
Miles was talking about last week, what he saw at CES was all sorts of smart home stuff, and here's the first news story about it. Sony has built a smart home hub into something everybody has a few of in their house already anyway.
Yes, it is a multifunctional light. It is a ceiling lamp, and it has sensors such as motion for illumination, for temperature and humidity, a Wi-Fi radio, and a memory card slot. You got a memory card slot in your ceiling fixture Does that not sound stupid? But a
Yes.
condenser microphone and an infrared controller for air conditioners. Now, I'm not a big fan of all the home connectivity yet. I find it creepy, but I think this is the way to go because it's going to be mounted up in your ceiling, so it's going to have line of sight for pretty much anywhere in the room. You're going to be able to see it. So using that is pretty smart, has trying to make that like your sensor hub thing, but on the downside, it means that even when your light's off, it's not really off, and that's just another device drawing power 24/7. So
I think this is remarkably stupid because the first time someone has to excessively pull out the step ladder and get up to the light and fall, they're going to sue. Why didn't you make it easier for me to get to the SD card slot?
I just can't figure out what you would do with an SD card slot.
I don't know, but this just sounds ridiculous.
So I almost purchased recently, and I still haven't ruled out purchasing a screw-in light bulb. It's a complex. Actually, I think it was an LED bulb that goes in a standard socket that is also a Bluetooth speaker. And I thought I need that in my bathroom, so I can listen to my audiobooks while I'm in the shower. Right, and it's something that screws into an already existing light socket. There's never a battery to replace because it's pulling power right off the AC. I think it's brilliant, but at the same time, it's ridiculous. It's worthy of ridicule and brilliant, and many good ideas are the same thing. What I want is all of those. I want a whole house full of those, one in every room, so that as I move from room to room, my music follows me.
And then could you do like a Bluetooth speaker mesh so that way when you connect to one, you've instantly connected to them all?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I want that, and I want to be able to put music through my whole house. I want my entire house to resonate with a single tone.
They already have a thing to solve that. It's called headphones.
But I can't do that in the shower.
Sure you can. You can get waterproof ones.
Yeah, okay. But what I liked about this, it was no more expensive than both an LED light bulb and a Bluetooth speaker combined. So an LED bulb is like $6-8. A Bluetooth speaker is again $6-8. This thing was like $19.
Oh, that's fair.
It's perfectly reasonable, and it's actually something that solves a problem. This Sony thing doesn't really solve a problem yet. As like Miles said, it's a lot of people trying to solve a problem that they don't know what the problem is yet.
Yeah, I don't get the memory card slot. I mean, it's a great place just to stick some storage. Why not? But I get everything else. And if you needed a hub, I mean, this would be it. But, dude, I don't like the fact that there's a condenser microphone now in every room. So your house is listening to you. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that. It just sounds weird. But I don't know. I just thought this was interesting. So Sony is, and they're going to start this, and they're going to release it just in Japan, where they are so far ahead of us on like gadgetry and stuff like that. So, and of course they're a Japanese company, so I don't have a problem with that. I just thought this was a very interesting thing. And Mark, your comment there about the Bluetooth light, that's the first thing I've heard that kind of makes me go, okay, I want that. All this other stuff I haven't wanted, but I kind of want that.
That one could be really useful, but I know I can never get anything like this in my house. My wife will immediately, violently spew venom right at it and knock it right out of the sky. Because I was thinking like a Alexa Prime Amazon thing. I could get that.
Echo.
That could be really useful. Echo. But if I did, I'd have to bring it down here and put it in my man cave because I don't think she would want it anywhere around. Anything that disrupts her is immensely evil. Period.
I didn't put it in here, but there's a story that now the Echo can narrate your Kindle books now. It's an update they rolled out to it. So the home automation thing seems to be getting closer and closer.
What I want is a smoke detector that you can yell, "I'm just cooking bacon," and it'll turn off.
Yes, I would happily buy a product based on that. I will also happily vote for a presidential candidate who says, I'm going to get rid of daylight savings time. Either one of them are just gimmies. Maybe this in Japan makes a lot of sense. But I know in America, home automation is inevitable, but I would think Americans, being Americans, would like to have maybe a master ceiling light, but have a console interface on the kitchen island to do all of the management of the hub, and not give up a step ladder every time you have to do something.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're not actually supposed to interact with this more than once. You put it up there, and everything else is wireless.
It's Wi-Fi. So you go to your tablet and you pull up myhomerulesmylife.com, and then you manage it from there.
No.
Rosemary'sbaby.com.
I've already said it once. I run Linux at my house. That means I tinker. I can't leave it alone up there. There's always something else I could do that could either do something better or worse, and there's only one way to find out.
You don't have to mount it on the ceiling. You can mount this on the wall. It has a lamp. There's nothing that says it has to be on the ceiling.
It could be a desk lamp.
Yeah, or it could be, you could have one of those little rope things hanging down. And
no, but really, I think this is the point. The thing to do in the ceiling is not a smart home hub, but a Wi-Fi hub, right? So if you could do a Wi-Fi repeater mesh network, because you've already got power to it constantly, it would be fairly trivial to run Ethernet to it, because it's up in the ceiling in the attic or whatever. So I think that's the solution, and maybe this thing can do that. The video is in Japanese, and I was reading the subtitles, and I couldn't make out exactly what it does. But the idea of taking a space that is wasted and that always has infrastructure, I think it's a good idea. I just think this is more of a let's see if we can first, and then we'll figure out if we should.
Yeah, and I think the hardest thing to answer with this kind of home automation thing is, where is the hub going to be? My logic is the brains of it need to be on our devices we already have, our phones, our tablets, things like that. Not special $400 boxes you stick in the closet.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the brain leaves the house every time you do.
And I don't care what happens to my house when I'm gone.
But you're not the only one who lives there.
And then I just open up a port to the free world and let hackers in from China, and then I can admin it remotely.
You don't have to open up that port, because that port is already hardwired into whatever device you're using has a gateway. You just haven't found it yet.
Especially if you happen to be using a Fortinet router. They wanted to keep up with Cisco in every way, including their hard-coded backdoors. Excellent transition, Seth, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Dor. That was all of us involved on that. It does take a village to do a podcast. So yes, Fortinet has researchers discovered, and now granted this is in older versions of Fortinet, and it was patched a couple of years ago, like a year and a half ago, but there was never an advisory saying that it was going after this particular issue, but they found hard-coded a password that allowed users to get in and backdoor their devices. And Fortinet is they're like a gateway security appliance, a firewall device. And when Fortinet responded to this, their response is just classic. It says,
it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah, this issue was resolved and patch was made available in July 2014 as part of Fortinet's commitment to ensure the quality and integrity of our code base. This was not a backdoor vulnerability issue, but rather a management authentication issue. The issue was identified by our product security team as part of their regular review and testing efforts. After careful analysis and investigation, we were able to verify this issue was not due to any malicious activity by any party, internal or external, and it gives a version. So if you hard-coded a password that allowed remote access to your device and it wasn't malicious, then it was incompetent stupidity. So way to go, Fortinet. You admitted that you were incompetently stupid, and you only figured this out a year and a half ago.
Nobody meant to be evil. We just meant to be bad at what we do. There's a difference. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Well, yes. and there's still a lot of parts that went into this to make this happen that are still in the firmware, said the researcher. So then they were purposefully ignorant moving forward.
Yeah, so there's this didn't show up in one release and removed in another release. This was there for who knows how long before they got around to finding it. So, again, in people's rush, coding is hard. I understand that, or everybody would be able to pull up and design stuff. But how do you, and we know we've talked about this, I can't get this to work, but I just want to be able to see while I'm testing it. I don't want to have to be there. So on the test, on our test code over here, we're going to put in this where we can remote it and act like we're there, and then somebody forgets to take it out. I totally understand how that happens.
Okay,
But,
first off, you're assuming that they're doing proper testing, and I will say that might be a stretch.
But I don't buy that, because if that were the case, the password would be like admin. It's so simple, we're going to make it. This was intentionally obfuscated. Capital F, capital G, capital T, capital A, lowercase b, lowercase c, 11, asterisk, lowercase x, lowercase y, plus sign, capital Q, lowercase z, 27. That meant that they didn't want anybody to find it, but they wanted to leave it there.
Okay, yep.
So thanks for trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I call BS on that. This was an intentional backdoor to make that easier for them to do whatever they wanted to do. Maybe, honestly, what they wanted to do was provide stellar customer service, and being able to look at somebody's router and fix the tables is what they had in mind. Maybe it was something that they were selling to the NSA or ordered by the NSA to do.
Huh?
I don't know. I can't say, but to give anybody access to an SSH prompt on a backbone router without their knowledge is malicious. I don't care what you call it. That is a malicious activity.
Maybe.
The last 3 companies I've worked for have used Fortinet devices.
Oh.
A school and 2 law firms.
They're big because they're not as expensive as some of the others, and they work well. So scary.
Well, maybe it's just something as quote-unquote in heavy, huge, fluffy, sparkling, glittering, air quotes. Maybe it's something as innocent as, how now if you find a 90-year-old guy, he's racist. Well, because they were all racist back then kind of thing. Maybe the guy who made this decision in this router is 70 or 80 years old back when security really wasn't a thing, and he thought he was doing something really smart and cool.
But their response to it was so tone deaf. They did say, "All right, we've fixed it." So I get that.
Tone deaf. Maybe his hearing aid went dead.
But Fortinet they're not a router. They are a security device.
Wow,
so,
that's true.
This isn't a backbone router. This is your gateway appliance. So
I mischaracterized that. You're absolutely right.
Then maybe I'll just shut up.
So here's the thing that you install to make sure that you're secure, and we're going to make it so secure that we can get into it anytime we want.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah. But they fixed it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. They didn't tell anybody they fixed it. People have been going through the security advisories, and there's been nothing that says this.
That would make it more insecure.
Yeah, so, and of course, every company out there waits on bated breath for every update, for every piece of software that comes in, and immediately installs it to make sure their system is the latest and greatest. I mean, we all know that's true, right?
Yeah. This was probably originally set up to make it easier to remote set up masses of them via scripts. And then, the way to do that is the easiest way to do that is to hard code a hidden security by obscurity password, and then they just left it there. That's the thing. You can't just leave it there.
Well, somebody said in a meeting, "Hey guys, we should take out that password before we release this code." And the next day, they introduced the newest member to that team. So that's probably Unfortunately, stuff like that happens. So I don't, because you don't want to make waves regardless of whether the waves are there or not.
All right. So moving on to the next story. Who says gamers don't? I got nothing. Valve had to upgrade their internet. I don't even know why this is a story. Everybody has to upgrade.
Well, yeah, but they went up to 100 gig. 100 Gbps internet to handle all their massive growth. So, luckily L3 is their provider, so they're a company, L3 is a company that will sell you a 100 gig port if you need it. So Steam needs it. They grow ridiculous. You know, they're still not like PlayStation Network or my Xbox Network, but they're getting there. So, and Valve is stepping up and buying the bandwidth to make sure the games flow smoothly.
And the good news is it's the same company where if you need your body scanned, they'll do that too.
Yeah. The takeaway for me to this is not that they upgraded, but that Steam averages 500 petabytes of data a month with 10 million concurrent players.
Ooh.
That's not small.
That's a dang there. That's like, wow.
And that still doesn't break the top 10 upstream, downstream, or aggregate per month. So,
wow.
Yeah, with Netflix at they don't have the numbers there. I was going to look at the numbers of petabytes. It's massive. But
Sure.
Yeah, BitTorrent is still the king
for upstream. Yep.
Right.
Good.
Which that tells me that there's not much upstream on the internet because you know.
So let me say there was a new show that came out this last week. The new spring seasons are happening, and it was on Fox, and I wanted to watch it, but I missed it.
X-Files?
I had forgotten to set my DVR, or I thought I had, and I didn't. Whatever, it didn't work. So after the show had aired, I realized, oh, I missed it. So I wanted to go back and get it. So I went to Fox's website, and I could do it there, but only on a computer. Right, a real computer running Windows or Linux or whatever, probably. But I couldn't do it on my Roku. So I went looking for in Roku. The neat thing about that is you can type in any name of show or an actor or whatever, and it'll show you things even on channels you don't have. And so the only way I could get it was to pay like $3 for it, or subscribe to the whole season for $20. I don't want to do that. I just want to see the show. I don't even know if I like it yet. And this is a thing that was aired earlier this week. So they forced me to go to the old Pirate Bay and be one of those BitTorrent guys because there was no legal way for me to watch it where I wanted to watch it. Yes, I could have watched it on my laptop. So it's not that they didn't make it available. It's they didn't make it available where I wanted. So this is both whining because I'm a lazy guy who didn't want to jump through their hoops, and finger pointing at Fox and CBS and all you guys. You're missing the boat here. People want to watch your stuff, and you're not giving us the opportunity. I could go to Hulu to do it, but I had to pay $7.99 a month for the privilege of watching ads, or what, $12 or $13 for no ads. If I'm going to pay you $7 a month, I'm not going to watch ads. So it's just that's why BitTorrent is up there. I think it's not always porn and Hollywood movies. I think it's also people who just can't get stuff anywhere else.
Well, like...
Oh, and Linux distros. That's the reason that BitTorrent is way up there.
Yeah, lots of people use torrents for that. But no, like CBS, they are trying to float, basically pulling their stuff out of Netflix because they want to get all the money for their catalog. And so I think they're partnering with Time Warner or someone to do a Netflix-esque service. Like, I watch Supergirl just because I like watching the superhero shows, but I don't get home in time to see it, so I watch it on their website, and I don't have a problem with the way they do it. I'm watching basically a TV show. It plays for about 15 minutes and it runs some ads, plays for another 15 minutes and it runs some ads, and so it's just like watching it on TV. But they say, you want, there's always free 1-week trial of our service, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not going to pay you any money for this, but so I don't know. There should be a way, like they should have an app. Do they even have an app in the Android store, like the CBS or Fox app, where you can watch it supported that way?
They do on Roku. I don't know about Android. And after I told my story there, I'll finish it. I did find the Fox Now app on the Roku, and I was able to watch it. So I didn't finish the BitTorrent download, but I did start it because I wanted to check it out. And that still goes to the fact that it's still way too hard for cord cutters to watch stuff.
Well, it's not hard. It's always convoluted.
Right.
Each thing is a different channel to come in. This one is the Android app. This one is the Roku app. This one is a web page. And they're all different ways. This is the first time I've legitimately, which is the wrong word, used BitTorrent this past week for the first time in literally like 8 years. And it was because I was After watching episode 7, I downloaded the despecialized editions of Star Wars, episodes 4, 5, and 6. And all I have to say is they're glorious.
Yes, I own those.
Well, illegally, yes.
Of course they're illegal, but I also own the regular ones, so I felt okay about it.
Well, and as soon as Disney releases them, because you know they will, because Disney loves money, as soon as they release the originals out, I will happily scrape money off of something in this household and buy them.
Yep. I won't think twice about it. Right. I bought the box set on VHS when they came out in like 94, 95. And then I bought the prequels, even though I didn't really like them that much. I bought those on DVD. So I have those, that whole thing. So I didn't feel too bad about getting the despecialized versions to get what I already had. But that's a rationalization because I still broke federal law to do it.
Exactly.
At least I'm not broadcasting it in front of thousands of people.
Exactly.
You hypothetically might have done something like this if that were an important thing to you.
I
all
don't.
Statements made for entertainment purposes only and do not constitute legal admissions.
I just couldn't look at digital Jabba with digital Harrison Ford stepping up over him. I just couldn't see that again.
That scene was so painful. It literally twisted my heart. It hurt so bad.
All right, so let's talk about a company who's doing things right. Forbes said, if you want to use our stuff, you got to turn off ad blockers. Okay, and then they prove the reason that you have ad blockers by promptly serving up malware.
Yes, this story comes via extremetech.com, and I've run across Forbes stories for the show, and we've used them as news sources before, but stuff like this happens. And they picked on Forbes for here, but they were in the article saying, hey, Forbes isn't the only one who does this. They're just one of them. And this goes into the whole advertising on the internet is hard, because somebody, even if you approve this ad, all they have to do is update a package on that after you approve it, or have it to where only every 20th or every 50th person gets the malware downloaded to them. And in order to look at their site, you have to disable your first and maybe second line of defenses to even be able to see it. And Forbes is probably, they're one of the more egregious ones on how they, hey, you have an ad blocker, we have a website, the two of those never shall meet. So, but yeah, so Forbes serves up malware, making you turn off your ad blockers. Right. But and again, they're not the only one who does it.
I have stood by in the past and defended the fact that if you don't want me to see your content if I block ads, that's your right, and I'm okay with that. I think it's a bad business decision, but it's yours to make. I won't go to a Forbes site because I have an ad blocker and it won't let me see it, and that's the way it is. But the double edge to that sword is, if you're going to force people to see your ads, you got to really scrutinize your ads, and they fell down on that part.
That's too much like work, Mark.
Well, and again, the ad that they approved isn't necessarily the one you saw, because it's coming from a third-party website. How easy is it to manipulate that once it's been approved? So they could have done their due diligence and searched and scrutinized and said, hey, all these ads are good, but then they could have gotten changed after that, because that's the nature of advertising on the internet. It sucks. But it's okay, because we don't use websites anymore. Everything is apps now. So this is kind of a dead story.
Do you guys use ad blockers?
I do.
You do? Seth?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Like on this computer, because I really only ever have it on when I'm doing this show, I don't. But my tablet I use day to day, I do.
I haven't, because I haven't used a genuine ad blocker in over 4 years. Partially, I just don't go to websites I don't recognize, which extremely limits how much stuff I see on the internet. But I thought, and I'd be happy to pay Google the ability to, when I click a search result or something, and I don't like that website because of how they do stuff, to hit back and say, block this website from all search results for X number of months. because of their horrible ad practices. I would happily pay money for a service that did that.
Well, no, wait a minute. I don't use an ad blocker. I use like a no script. So I mean, technically it's an ad blocker, but that's not.
It just
actual.
happens to block ads as it's trying to increase your security.
The fundamental thing here is it's about control. It's the spam problem with email. Email is sender controlled. The user has almost no control over what comes to them. The same as physical mail. Anybody can mail me any junk mail they want, and I can't stop people from stuffing that in my mailbox. And in fact, it's once it goes in the mail system, it's the federal law for somebody to impede it from coming to my mailbox. How little, no matter how little I want it. I've been throwing away copies of 17 magazine for 4.5 years now because they decided I had a subscription that I didn't want. So every month it comes and I go straight to the recycle bin. The spam is the same thing, but the difference with spam is it costs a whole lot less to send an email than it does to mail me a copy of 17 magazine, or Bride magazine. I get that one too. I don't know why. But anyway, the problem is control. So if I want to take control of my browsing experience, and web browsing is different because you are actively retrieving data. It's not like email where data comes to you and it comes to a Dropbox. It's you going out and saying, server, I want this stuff. I should have the right as the viewer to choose which stuff I want to see. I should be able to choose which bits come to me. This is a fundamental control issue, and the server people, the guys who run the websites, want to control what you see, and the end user wants to control what they see, and there's where the clash is.
It's like the thing I witnessed with podcast distribution and stats. Stats rule everything. So I have to have my shows on a server that I quote-unquote own and control, and I can watch the bits go out. When someone like Stitcher takes a copy of my show and stores it on their server, they almost ruin my ability to gain stats. So with the ads, it's their same kind of principle. They want to control the flow of data. Once you want this page, you're going to get it no matter what, so we can accurately account for this. It's a horrible metric. And I hate to say this, but I do feel like half of what we complained about on this show so far, if we would have only won the $1.4 billion, we wouldn't be complaining about this, because the Apple thing was a complaint about money. The ad thing was, it's about, because, and I hate to say it, but that's why I optioned for YouTube Red. I wanted to give myself that experience of watching YouTube videos and my son watching YouTube videos with 0 ads on it. And let me tell you, it is gold. It is night and day difference, and I happen to get a Google Play Music subscription on that as well, which I once in a while when I wake up in the morning I listen to some Weird Al or something.
So Dora, it goes back to what you were saying. You flippantly said that's too much like work, and that's really what it comes down to. If Forbes could guarantee me that every ad I see existed on their server solely from their server, was generated by their copywriting team, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's not that I have a problem with ads.
Right. You mean like podnuts.com, which is why I'm very happy to say, go ahead and run your ad blockers. I don't care, because you're not going to block my ads. My ads are on my website and emanate from my files. So no ad blocker will ever stop them.
Yeah, it's the same way with the podcast, the ads that we do on this show. You can't block them. You can skip over them, but you can't block them because they come with the content. But that's, as you said, Dor, too much like work. They don't want to actually have an ad department. They don't want to have to do all that. They want to outsource that because it's easy and cheap. But then it becomes a quality control problem. And Seth, you said it beautifully. They may have done the initial quality control, but they have not been sampling every ad that goes out. So this is a problem of everybody wants to do things the easy way. Nobody wants to take responsibility for anything. The Forbes doesn't want to take responsibility for it. The ad network doesn't want to take responsibility for it. They're not responsible either, right? They vetted this guy way back when. The user doesn't want to take responsibility for it because we don't want the ads in the first place. So when nobody takes responsible for anything, what you get is the lowest common denominator of human life, leeching and preying on people. That's where criminals and low-life scum get their power, is because they take responsibility for the things nobody else wants to.
Well said, sir.
See, and I thought you were going towards the quote of the movie, in Credibles, When everyone is super,
no one is. So I'm mad at Forbes about this, and I'm mad at whatever the third-party website is, and I'm mad at me because we're all at fault here. Actually, the only person I can't be mad at is the scumbag who put the malware in, because he's meeting a market. There's a demand for that, and he's meeting that demand.
Well, see, I'm not mad at all because I run Linux. So go ahead and put all the malware you want in those ads. I don't care.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, the malware gets stealthier and stealthier. Like, I was working at a school district, and one of our websites got hacked, but it was impossible to prove because it was so sophisticated. It only sent you that whatever, I don't even remember if it was a pop-up or an attempt to download something. The first time it registered that IP address, so you go back to it. And all of a sudden it's fine. And, and if you're behind a firewall that shows, then so it's like, but I'm going there and I'm not seeing anything. So, then you have to get scanners involved and go, oh, crap, this thing's bad. But, it's just stuff like that makes it hard. The malware market is, unfortunately, it's competitive and cutthroat, and they want to make sure their malware stays out there. So they put a lot of effort into hiding it and concealing it.
See, that hack makes me both hate you and respect you all at the same time. Because I respect you as an engineer because that's brilliant. I hate you as a lowlife because you're a lowlife. But you're a lowlife that I can take my hat off to. You're a lowlife with skills.
Yeah, we did the story where the guy got hit with the ransomware about child porn being on his computer, so he took it to the police department and turned himself in because it was on his computer. So, at that point, it's like, you scum and you suck, but free pass today. So.
That's good. I like stories like that generate a difference of opinions. We all had a different take on this, but none of us disagreed with each other. It's weird how that works. That can only happen on the internet. Well, anyway, I'm just going to let that go there. And,
wait a minute.
Yes.
There's a disturbance. Mark, you're wrong.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I had to fix that disturbance.
Okay. Sorry. We almost got through a show without somebody telling me I was wrong. We couldn't have that. So, Seth, tell us what happened this week in history.
Okay, this is a really cool thing. January the 18th, 1903, so it's been a while back. The United States President, Theodore Roosevelt, sends a radio message to King Edward VII, the first transatlantic radio transmission originating in the United States. That happened this day in history, or this week in history, these century plus ago.
So how many years, Seth, if you can remember vaguely, was that after the transatlantic telegraph message? Like 70 years? Wasn't that 1830, something like that?
No, not that far. The transatlantic thing, it was around this same time.
Because I remember we did the telegraph thing not too long ago.
Right.
And by not too long ago, I mean sometime in the last 3.5 years. But I just wonder how long it took to go from, because this isn't cables, this is radio waves. That's a whole different thing. But it probably you can't send a radio signal 3,000 miles. Well, around the curvature of our planet. You can send it 3,000 miles straight, but you can't send a radio signal from England to the U.S. because of the curvature of the Earth. So this had to go through a bunch of different substations. So this was a much bigger deal than it may seem like at the moment.
Okay, in 1902, the Commercial Pacific Cable Company laid the first Pacific telegraph cable from San Francisco to Honolulu. So it was actually after this radio that they did around the world transmission of the telegraph.
Okay.
So I'm sure that the telegraph existed maybe between, because there's a lot more. The Atlantic Ocean is smaller than the Pacific, and there's more commerce between Europe and America. I'm sure that was probably laid before, but the worldwide one, that didn't happen until later.
I know when the Titanic sank in 1912, the Marconi wireless was what they were calling it, was still a relatively new thing in that it was a portable wireless. Portable wireless was a big deal. It took a lot of power to generate these things. So these would have all had to be, generator powered or some kind of substations across the Atlantic. Anyway, big deal. That doesn't seem like much when you read the sentence. President sent something to the king, so what? But when you realize the technological undertaking, it's really a big deal.
Yeah. So, and like the first transatlantic telephone cable wasn't done until the mid 1950s. So for a long time, it was radio and telegraph. So cool stuff that, is blasé by today's standards. But if you just step back and go, what did they do before this that makes this freaking awesome? So.
Yeah, and now we send stuff to Mars. We send messages back and forth to Mars in a few minutes. It's a great time to be alive. I keep saying that, but it's so true. All right, so last up, Seth, the show closing spectacular. What do you have to lower my productivity so that you seem like a better hiring option?
Okay, this one is pretty cool. It is the passive-aggressive password machine. Trypap.com, all one word. You go there and you click in the thing and you enter a password, and as you put characters in, like you type one letter, it says, I need a password, not this monstrosity. And then so you add stuff and, passive-aggressive kind of thing. Don't come crying to me when you're hacked. Just fun stuff.
I'm not angry, just disappointed.
Yeah, just weak. And I've got like a 20-character message. So anyway, trypap.com for your passive-aggressive password machine, whatever you're looking for.
Toddlers eat passwords like yours for breakfast.
Wow.
Fun stuff. If I were evil, I'm not evil, but sometimes I can think like an evil person. I would have a logger on this because people are going to type in their real passwords to see what they get.
I'm just going to say, I guarantee you this website is part of a security research team gathering, and you're going to see a paper come out in X number of months and say, here's what people use for passwords. They use 123, monkey 123. And it's because people coming to this site, not wanting to type in their real password and typing in monkey 123.
I just typed like 37 characters and got, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
Yeah, I've had this one in reserve for over a year, so I don't know. I don't know, because like Steve Gibson had a thing and it did everything on your machine. It didn't send any of the stuff back. I haven't looked at the code to know whether this is recording and tracking your passwords or if it's just a, for every digit, for X number of digits, display this. And I haven't looked at the code, so try it at your own risk.
It's pretty strong.
What do you mean you haven't looked at the code? I can't believe that. Seth, you would bring a link to the show and not look at the source code of the website? Goodness.
Yeah. We're called GeekRant, not Security Rant.
The thing at the top says it's a project and the exploration of minimalist design. It says it's really simple, really. It's simple, really. You enter a password, any password, and the PAP machine will be honest, asterisk, about your password length. And the asterisk says, honest like a lawyer or your cold-hearted ex.
Well, this is a good design. I give them that.
It's simplistic. That's fun stuff. I hope that the days of passwords are very nearly to an end. I hope that when my youngest daughter is my age, which is 35 years from now, that she will be looking back and say, I remember this quaint time when we had to enter a password to get into our stuff, and there was no DNA encoding or whatever. Passwords are a hack that should never have lasted as long as they have.
Yeah.
I hate them. 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 And I hate the fact that places remember my password. My job remembers my last X passwords. Can you think of anything more unsafe and anything that's more of a honeypot for somebody who wants to get into than the vault of quote-unquote saved password hashes? That can't be good. It cannot be good.
Yeah, because I'm sure that every Windows server administrator went in and customized the hash of their server the moment they set it up.
Yeah, of course. You can't install it unless you customize that hash, right?
Yeah, lots of random salt added. No, that's one of those security by obscurity. The only reason it's safe is because nobody's cracked it yet. But wow, you're right, Dor. That's monstrous. Once somebody figures out how to crack that, you have every secure password ever used in every corporate environment for the last 20 years.
Well, and that's why
maybe it's already been cracked and we just don't know.
That's true.
Very plausible. And I'll say I told my employer, I don't use my quote-unquote real passwords here. You need to understand what I meant. I said the passwords I use here, I only ever use here. I do not mix home passwords and work passwords. And then I said, secondly, he asked me for my security question, and he said, what's your mother's maiden name? And when I answered him, I gave him an answer like beef tobacco. And he did not understand that. And I said, do you think for a split second I'm giving you my mother's real maiden name? Are you high? You know? No. Never. Ever.
Yeah, and most of us, if you remember all the passwords, right? So you're going to add a 1 to the end of it, and the next time it's going to be a 2, and then the next time it's going to be a 3. And policies like that actually force weaker passwords, not better ones.
Well, and I have no problem with telling you my first password I ever used on the internet was www333 because that was my tag number on my car, and then my next password after that was 28fly. That's because that's when I got my 28.8 modem.
I had a randomly generated password given to me by an ISP in '93, and it was so good I've used a variation of it ever since. No. It's not that password, but it's a variation of it because I can remember it. It's a memory trigger that this randomly generated. I think it was only 6 characters. I've added many characters to it since then, but it's my salt that I use in my own personal hash. Okay, cool. That went weird. When you say a phrase like my own personal hash, the only thing left to do is end the show. So this is the part of the show where we'll tell you how you can get your own mini rant right here on the show. You can go to elementop.com, click the Contact Us button at the top of the page. That will give you a nicely formatted form there that sends an email to me that gets priority in my inbox. If you want to contact me, that is the preferred way to do it. Secondly, you can send us an email at geekrant@elementop.com. That goes to Chris, Seth, and myself, lest you think I am filtering their emails. You can call us, as Dor so frequently does, at 559-I-AM-OPI and leave us a voicemail there and we'll put it on. Or you can download the Zcast app and comment it there. It's really come a long way. If it's been a while since you checked it out, check it out again. It's been updated on a regular basis. I haven't talked about it much on the show, but it's really coming along, and it is really almost to the point, not quite there, but almost to the point where I would tell people that this could be your daily driver RSS player, podcast player. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay, and how do they get this app?
It's any of the most recent, in any of the notes on our page for like the last year have a link to the EDL app or the Geek or the Zcast as it's called app now. So it only exists right now on my servers. It's not in the store, but go to elementop.com and you will see it, a link to it there. Dor, what do you have to sell to us, to plug to us, to tell people about? Nothing.
If they want to know anything about me, go to the notes, and Mark will have a link for you.
So you don't run a podcast network or do other shows or anything like that?
I might, but you won't know unless you go to the show notes.
Oh, wow. That's really putting responsibility on the listener right there.
I have to drive traffic to your website. Isn't that my task while I'm here, Mark?
Your task is to be entertaining and erudite, and you've done them both.
Oh, well, we're both in trouble.
Seth, any final words of wisdom from you?
Is next week gonna be our big feed our mini rant episode?
Probably. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Okay, and then remember, February we're doing Financial February, so we wanted to tease that.
Oh man, that sounds painful.
Yeah, I forgot what the context of that was. Remind me, Seth. Remind the audience, and I'm going to pretend like this is just a prompt.
Well, we had talked about off air talking about finances, and it was kind of spurred a little bit with the Bitcoin stuff that Miles threw out, and so we thought about why not just break down financially what you can do on the web, and it's going to cover everything, and so we're going to take a month to do it, different how you can do online savings account, online stock trading, make money online, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to talk about it, and we're going to spend the month doing it because we're going to kind of break it down, and we've christen February, financial February, and if it falls on his face, it'll be the last time we ever have a month-long theme.
This is an experiment we're doing in themes, right? Theme podcast. The idea the behind that was that we often cover these topics like the Facebook thing, and the feedback goes trails out for weeks. So what we thought we would do is have a theme month, and then the last show of that month would be your feedback, so that we kind of build that process into it. And there's a lot of stuff there to go in the finance. We could talk about cryptocurrencies. We can talk about how to make sure that nobody is reading your chip on your card by using a wallet. There's lots of fertile ground there, plus all kinds of new stuff. So this is our first experiment. Tell us what you think. Also, if you have other themes that you'd like us to do, I don't know that we could come up with a theme for every month that has a nice alliterative name. Meat March, I don't know, where we talk only about bacon and pork products.
I mean, yeah, because we've not been giving bacon enough love here recently.
I haven't made a slab of bacon in over a year. And in fact, I have a listener who over at the Patreon site, elementop.com/Patreon, has pledged enough to be in the You Get a Slab of Bacon tier, and I owe him that slab of bacon. So maybe I'll do a whole show on curing bacon and how to do it without killing people, because there is actually a trick to that.
We're still waiting on the coffee extract stuff.
Well, I've told you all I know about the coffee.
No,
there's
documentation.
I know, that's the thing, the documentation. Let me tell you that is still an ongoing experiment. In fact, right now I have a batch. I've been experimenting with vacuum storing. The best way to store it. So I have a test batch right now that is vacuum sealed but not refrigerated, and I want to see if the secret is in the oxidation or if the temperature matters. So it is an ongoing experiment. I just don't have anything. I don't have any findings to present yet.
No, but nobody would have known that unless I would have dug it out of you.
That's true. But at some point, I was planning on just giving you an extract, and at some point being when I'm 73 years old and I've finished the experiments.
This is the longest show closing we've ever done.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, man, we're doing so well. We got this thing right at an hour, and then 27 minutes later, we're still going. Okay. Where was I? Yes. Financial February. Door doesn't do any podcasts, and Patreon.com. Give us money. Okay, I think that pretty well covers it.
I like money.
Money's good. Door may or may not have a Patreon of his own, but you'll have to come to our website to find out. Mental note to Mark. Make sure you put something in the notes about that. Okay, thanks for hanging out with us on GeekRant, and we look forward to you seeing you next week. But that ends this episode of the GeekRant.
Later, taters.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you.
I hope I'll hear that as I'm putting the end tag on it. I'll hear myself say that. You brought a couple of live people on with you. Thanks for that, Dora. We never get live people.
Well, they pinged me and said, "Where's the live chat?" I said, "How the hell do I know?"
It's at elementop.com/live.
And then I went there and I said, "Looks like there's a chat right there. Maybe if this is one." Okay, what episode number was this again?
223.
Oh, 223. 223. We're almost up to 227.
It's actually episode 3, but it's 223.
Well, 223/3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put this in the AAA folder so you see it.
Yeah. That'll work.
I like OwnCloud. OwnCloud works.
I've been, my problem is that I'm bandwidth hampered. I would love to do something like that, but
well, first off, I really wouldn't care, Mark, if I gave you a remote login administration to a computer so every Sunday night you could use that as the main streaming rig. I don't care. And I have no problem carving out parts of that OwnCloud server and giving it to you for your use. I don't care.
What I need to do is just send you a box and just borrow your bandwidth.
Okay.
Yeah, something to
But
think
why?
about.
I got plenty of computers here. I don't have. I literally have 5 sitting right here.
Because I'm a control freak, Dor. What if you decide to cut me off? You get mad at me someday.
Yeah, Mark, that's it. You said or and not the. You're done.
That's it. You're done.
You're done.
All right, YouTube live viewers and people who will be viewing this later. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm cutting you off now. Bye.
Bye.